Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 516. I am Brendan. Let's talk some UFC, huh? We had UFC fight night over the weekend, Garcia versus Onama. We're going to talk about that fight. Kind of talk about, a lackluster card. It felt odd when a lot of the card had commentary talking about like other cards, like the eye pokes from last week and just other things like that. It was just, I don't know. Like I said, I was less interested. Also, if you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. That way, this video's coming out. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk about all the fights on the card here. And yes, I do have a black eye. I took a forehead to the orbital. I don't think anything's broken. I think I'm doing okay. Swelling has gone way down. Bonus, I was Rocky Balboa for Halloween. Pretty easy costume. And doing some method acting, apparently, so that was fun. Anyway, let's talk about Steve Garcia versus David Onama. I think this one is actually kind of important to talk about here. Steve Garcia, he looks fantastic. Like, he's got really good cardio. He wears people down. He hits hard. I think that there's a possibility... like at the featherweight, at featherweight, he's does he still have? Okay, so he's got 5 knockouts. Yeah, this was 12 and 13. So he has 5 knockouts. He's on the list of like the top 10 for most knockouts in this division history. Of course, the top being I think Max Holloway with 9. But anyway, point is, he did exactly what David Onama is hittable. We all know this. We've watched him. He gets hit a lot. He also is durable. He tends to outlast his opponents, and then he hits hard, and then he has a very similar style, like a very Homer Simpson style, right? Where, you can beat him up and then wear yourself out, and then he's going to hit you hard a couple times and put you out. Like I said, Onama is hittable. He hasn't had a horrible career. He's on 4-fight win streak here. That's what happened with the Nate Landwehr fight. Yeah, he just comes on later and fights sometimes. There's a good chance that David Onama will find himself into the top 10. I think Steve Garcia obviously should be. He did call out Max Holloway for the BMF belt. I think that would be a fun fight. I don't know if that's going to happen. Garcia, in this fight, he just kept the pressure on, right? Constantly putting the jab out there, making Onama shell up. Onama just had no answers for him. He was kind of waiting for that pause, and Garcia wasn't giving him that pause. Like, oftentimes there's this, like, again, I'm not an MMA fighter, but even in grappling exchanges, there's this rhythm, right? There's a rhythm to things. Like, you attempt something, they attempt something. You attempt something, you attempt a second thing, and then then they attempt something. There's this rhythm of a fight, and you see it. I think it's more prevalent in MMA than in grappling, especially striking on the feet, more particularly, right? And when guys break up that rhythm in a way that just doesn't allow the other person to feel comfortable or get going, you end up with this. And Garcia, he just put that pressure on him, made Onama kind of wilt, and then was the stoppage a little early? Yeah, but dude, like, if your whole strategy is get punched in the face until the other guy's tired, at some point it's not gonna go your way. At some point, the referee is gonna call it relatively early. That might have been this case, but I thought it was a fine stoppage. Onama had dropped multiple times, and it just did not look good for him. I'm excited to see Steve Garcia. All right, let's talk about a shit show. I don't even want to bring up stats. I don't like talking about this guy. Waldo or Cortes-Acosta versus Ante Delija. Delija was doing really good, keeping the pressure on, and he would keep the pressure on and then stop and make Cortez. This is how you counterfight, right? You apply pressure, you corner the guy, and you make him lead. Right, and then Cortes-Acosta is like, he's a basic ass heavyweight, right? He hits hard, and his fighting style is, Derek Lewis-esque, right? That very limited output, just be durable, avoid interaction, and then hit him really big. Only he hasn't perfected it. Anyway, there's an eye poke amidst Delija beating the shit out of him. It looked like a stoppage. Delija thought he had won. He goes over and gets congratulated by his corner, and it was an eye poke. It was a legitimate eye poke. I have no problem with that. It was just the way that it was handled. I don't know if Herb Dean. I think Herb Dean could have done a better job. I'm not going to put any blame on anybody. This is an unfortunate situation. And then Acosta, after the break, and Acosta gets a break, and Delija gets that giant adrenaline dump. All right. Again, this is going to sound like I'm making excuses for Delija. I think they fight again, and he beats the shit out of Acosta. But if you guys have never competed in something, or maybe you're just not like me or a lot of people, there's this thing that happens when you get an adrenaline dump, right? Your adrenaline spikes. You get amped up for competition, whatever it might be something serious. There might be very little consequences, but for whatever reason, your adrenaline is amped, right? And then during the competition, sometimes your adrenaline will dump. So usually, when the stakes are really high or you're very nervous, this can happen mid-competition, and it can be really deleterious to your everything that you want to do. You just feel exhausted, like you got nothing in you. You feel flat. Adrenaline dumps also happen after excitement. Like after a win, we saw it with Tim Kennedy versus Yoel Romero. Is like, God, what is with my nose being so dang itchy? Tim Kennedy versus Yoel Romero is the best example I can give you. Yoel Romero doesn't want to leave the stool mid-round. He is given multiple warnings, told to get off the stool. He said no mas. Tim Kennedy gets up, says he quit, and he thinks he won the fight. And Mike McCarthy, decided not to call the fight and let them continue. Tim Kennedy had to, you saw it. He just came out flat and ends up getting finished. Same thing happened here. Obviously, less controversial, but we can stop on that. And I already made my piece about eye pokes last week. I've talked about it for years. When it happens again in a more consequential matchup that's more removed from the Tom Aspinall deal, we can talk about it again. But as of right now, I'm just... UFC heavyweight is such shit. Themba Gorimbo versus Jeremiah Wells. Man, Gorimbo... Oh, man, he's tall, he's lengthy, he's got enough power, and I thought, like everybody else, Wells with his wrestling was going to go in there and take him down, and Gorimbo gets a takedown. They get back up, and then he's using so much energy, throwing Wells around. He didn't really do too much in this first round, not a lot of striking, 4-1 in favor of Gorimbo. But Wells, at the very end of the round, got a takedown of his own, puts him up against the cage, and gets right in a mount. Whenever I see something happen that easy, my first instinct is that's going to be his, especially at the end of a round, that fighter is going to approach the second round or the following round with that strategy because it was so easy to get it. And then my other thought is, like, maybe because it was the end of the round, Gorimbo was just like, I'm going to relax. That does happen. So anyway, we go into the second round. I'm looking for Wells to go for the takedown. Gorimbo, using those longer attacks, trying to jab him, keeping him out there, using the kicks, giving Wells issues. Wells can't find his way into range, and then Gorimbo goes for the takedown. Again, I don't know what the plan was here. What the commentary team was saying that, like, he was going out there, like, maybe he's using the wrestling to get Wells tired so Wells can't wrestle. I guess. I mean, after that first round, man, that is a interesting strategy, to say the least. Wells defended the takedown, sitting back for a choke, and I thought, okay, Gorimbo's going to get on top and control him. He didn't. He got on top for a little bit, but Wells gets back up. He gets into control. He gets in mount for most of the round, lands some good shots. He outstrikes him here, 14-10 as far as control time. Wells has way more of it, 215-52. Clearly his round. It's 19-19 going to the third. So after you watch that second round, you're like, okay, what is each guy's strategy? Wells wants takedown. Gorimbo should be striking. Okay. Wells lands some good shots on the feet and then kills guillotine and falls to his back again. You're like, oh shit. Okay. I don't know if he's going to, nope. he gets up, gets a takedown again, gets in a mount, goes for arm triangle, stays on top, lands some nasty elbows to end the round. Clearly his fight. I don't think there's any controversial scorecards there, so we can move on. But Wells doing the damn thing. Not the youngest individual. No, he's 39. Yeah, man. Go for it. Yeah, 170, my ass. Yeah, he's 170 for about 5 minutes. And dude's built like a tank. Way to go, Wells. Hanging in there for the old folks, huh? I am not one of those old folks. Yadier Valle versus Isaac Dulgarian. This fight did not go very long. Oh, we don't even need to pull up stats, really. Dulgarian looking for the double leg. Del Valle is just way too strong. He was just a bigger dude. He just muscles his way out of the takedown. He got to the back, went for the rear naked choke after getting some decent ground and pound, and then eventually gets the short choke. Slightly different grip than the rear naked choke. It's the same choking motion, right? But it's usually the forearm is what's on the neck and not the. It just applies a different pressure. There is a different name for it because of the hand positioning and the grip. All right, Daniel Frunza versus Charles Radtke. See, there was just no bangers on this card. You know, Radtke dominated this one with wrestling. You know, they crash and they both land a little bit, and both guys were really tentative to start the fight. Neither one of them wanted to really engage and unload. And then they were looking for one big shot, but, you know, Radtke got him down to the ground, held him down there for most of the time, landed some good shots. He just, you know, it was just domination on the ground the first, second, and third round, and then eventually in the third round. Like, I would even give that second round a 10-8. The first round should have been a 10-8. Second round also could be a 10-8, but Frunza did land one good shot in there. And then the last round, you know, Radtke was staying safe, and it looked like, oh, hey, he's just going to chill, play the cards that he's dealt, and then Frunza loads up on a big right hand and gets taken down, and Radtke ends up getting the rear naked choke finish. Yeah, we looked at this statistic before, but one of the most common, I think the most common finish in MMA outside of the outside of like knockouts and things like that, although that might be even less common. No, it's got to be more common. Is the rear naked choke. The rear naked choke is the most common of all the submission finishes. Cody Durden versus Allan Nascimento. You know, Durden was trying to break him with his pressure. He was doing a really good job with that. Keeping the strikes out there. You know, he didn't really mix in his wrestling, which I thought maybe could have, you know, I know Nascimento's good on the ground and all, but, you know, mixing things up could have opened up his striking. Nascimento was digging into that front leg. This first round, I felt like Durden did more. They were saying that was a close round. I don't think so. Durden landed a ton of shots, 36-26 in favor of Durden. I thought it was clearly his round. And then in the second round, a huge left and a right hook from Durden. Leg kick made Durden switch stances, and they didn't mention it on the broadcast, which is odd. That's usually one of the first things I call out. And after that stance switch, he started to eat a lot more shots. Nascimento found a good shot, put him down, and then, Durden stumbled and gets stuck in a darce, and Nascimento gets a finish. Fantastic finish for him. That's it. We're gonna call it on that one. No reason to belabor the point. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. That way you know next video is coming out. I really appreciate it. Next video is gonna have the prelims. Appreciate y'all. Have an amazing week. Love y'all. Peace.